There is a train in Sri Lanka that climbs from the lowlands into the tea country, and if you sit by an open window with your feet up on the empty seat across from you, the whole island seems to change color by the hour. The air comes in cool and green. It smells of eucalyptus and wood smoke and something sweeter underneath. The warm vegetal breath of tea bushes by the million, combed across the hillsides in rows so neat they look stitched. The carriage rocks. A boy leans out of the next window with his arms wide, and the children in the gardens below look up from their games and wave. Not at anyone in particular, just at the train, the way you wave at the sea. We never tire of that train, and every time the same small astonishment finds us. You board in the morning in heat, in the flat green of paddy fields, and a few hours later you are pulling a borrowed jumper over your shoulders in a hill station where the mist sits in the valleys like spilled milk. A few hours. That is the whole secret of this place, and it is the thing we most want to tell you today. Sri Lanka is small enough to cross in a single day and varied enough that crossing it feels like passing through 5 separate countries, each with its own weather, its own faith, its own idea of what a beautiful afternoon should be. People think they know Sri Lanka, and usually what they know is a beach. A wide, pale beach, a palm leaning at the obligatory angle, a cocktail with a story behind it. And the beaches are wonderful. We will get to them. But to come all this way and stay only at the edge of the island is a little like visiting a great house and never leaving the porch. The soul of the place is inland, in the dry heat of the old kingdoms, and that is where we would like to begin. In the middle of the island, there is a region people call the Cultural Triangle. 3 points marked by ancient capitals that ruled here more than 1,000 years ago, when this was one of the great civilizations of the Buddhist world. The cities themselves are mostly ruins now, but they are ruins on a scale that quiets you. There are bell-shaped monuments of brick and white plaster, some of them as tall as cathedrals, raised by kings whose names are still spoken with respect. There are vast reservoirs, what they call tanks here, engineered so cleverly that they still hold water and still feed the fields, all these centuries on. You stand among them at the end of the day, when the light goes long and gold, and the troops of gray monkeys come down to drink, and you feel the particular vertigo of deep time, the sense of standing in a place that was already old when half the world's famous landmarks were still drawings on a wall. Monks in robes the color of turmeric still walk the old processional avenues. A pilgrim presses a square of gold leaf onto an ancient stone with her thumb. The past here is not behind glass. It is still being prayed in. And then there is the rock, Sigiriya, a single great plug of stone that rises sheer out of the forest, 200 meters straight up, flat on top, and on that flat top, 1,500 years ago, a king built himself a palace in the sky. You climb it at dawn, before the heat and before the crowds, up staircases bolted to the cliff face. Halfway up, in a sheltered pocket of rock, there are paintings of women that have kept their color for 15 centuries, and a wall once polished so smooth that visitors saw themselves in it and could not resist writing little poems on the surface. Graffiti, but ancient and tender. You climb the last steep flights with your heart going, and you come out on the summit into the first real sun of the morning, and below you the jungle stretches away flat and unbroken to the horizon, with the mist still lying in the hollows. There is a cave temple nearby, too, carved into a hillside, where dozens of golden Buddhas recline in the gloom, and the ceiling is painted with lotus flowers, the paint soft with the smoke of centuries of oil lamps. Most people who come only for the coast never see any of this, and we understand the temptation to stay where it is easy. But the interior is where you begin to understand the island as a living thing, a place of old faith and older engineering, of heat and history and an unhurried dignity. It asks a little more of you, a little more dust, and a few more hours in the car. It gives back a great deal more. From the dry heat of the ancient cities, the land begins to rise, and as it rises, it cools, and you come into the hill country, which is a different Sri Lanka altogether. The first stop on the way up is Kandy, the last of the old royal capitals, set around a lake the kings made, ringed by green hills. Kandy is where they keep the relic, a tooth of the Buddha, in a temple by the water. In the evening the drummers play, and a slow river of people moves through the inner rooms, carrying lotus blossoms and offerings of jasmine. And the air is so thick with flowers and incense and quiet devotion that you find yourself walking softly without quite deciding to. You do not need to share the faith to feel the weight of it. You only need to stand still for a moment and let it move past you. Above Kandy, the road and the railway keep climbing into the highlands proper, and this is where you find the tea. The British planted it here a century and a half ago, when the coffee failed, and they covered these mountains in it, and they built themselves cool gray bungalows with fireplaces and rose gardens to escape the heat of the plains. Many of those old estate houses are still here, and you can stay in them, and there is a particular pleasure in waking under a heavy blanket in the tropics, in a room that smells of wood smoke and old timber, and looking out over a valley full of cloud. The women still move through the bushes in the early light, with baskets on their backs, picking only the youngest leaves, 2 leaves and a bud, the way it has always been done. You can walk out among them. You can sit on a veranda at 4 in the afternoon with a cup of something grown on the slope in front of you and watch the weather change its mind 3 times in an hour. And it is from these hills that you take the train we began with, the slow climb between the tea towns up to a little place called Ella, perched on the edge of a gap in the mountains. The journey matters more than the destination. You hang out of the open door, the engine laboring, and the line curves through cuttings green with ferns, over high stone bridges, past waterfalls coming straight down the rock, and the whole carriage smells of cardamom from someone's flask of tea. Up at Ella, the mornings are cool enough for a real walk, up to a ridge to watch the sun come over the hills, or out along the old rails to a viaduct that strides across a wooded valley on great brick legs. The rhythm up here is gentler and slower, and altogether more contemplative. It is the part of the island people are most surprised by, because nobody comes to a tropical island expecting to want a fire in the evening. And then the land falls away again, down out of the tea and the mist, back into the heat, and you reach the third Sri Lanka, the coast, and the wild country at the edges. This is the part that does live up to the postcard, but it has more going on than the postcard lets on. In the national parks of the south and east, there are leopards, more densely populated in some of these reserves than almost anywhere on Earth, and there is a real and rising thrill to coming round a bend in the track at dusk and finding one draped along a warm rock, utterly unbothered by you, its tail twitching. There are elephants in their hundreds, gathering near the water as the dry season tightens. And off the southern coast, in the deep water not far out, there are blue whales, the largest creatures that have ever lived. And you can go out in the early morning and wait, and when one surfaces beside the boat and breathes, that long, slow exhalation you feel in your chest before you hear it. Something in you rearranges itself quietly and stays rearranged. The coast has its towns, too. There are fishing villages where the boats come in at first light, and the auction happens right there on the wet sand. There are long surf beaches that have drawn a gentle, barefoot crowd, the kind of place where the day is organized around the tide and a single good wave and very little else. Inland of the southern shore, if you have the appetite for it, there is rainforest older than the human memory of the island, a dripping green tangle loud with birds you will see nowhere else on earth, and a guide who can name every call before you have found the bird in the leaves. And there is the old fort town in the south, a walled quarter the Dutch built on a headland, all narrow streets and shuttered houses and ramparts you can walk along in the evening. That is where we would send you for sunset, up onto the old walls with the sea on three sides, the lighthouse going pink, the lovers and the cricketers and the boys leaping off the bastion into the water below, and the whole town settling into its long golden hour. Here is the thing that makes all of this possible in one trip: the quiet logistical grace of the island. Sri Lanka has 2 monsoons, one for each side, arriving at opposite times of year, so there is almost always a coast that is in season. When the southwest is being rained on, the east is glorious, and the other way around. You simply choose your coast to match your month, and the interior and the hills carry on more or less regardless. The island is engineered, you might say, for the traveler who plans a little. So, if you asked us to draw the shape of it, we would give you something like 10 to 12 days, and we would have you resist the urge to go straight to the sand. Start inland, in the dry heat and the deep past, the ancient cities, and the climb up the rock at dawn, then ride the land upward into the tea, a night or two, in an old estate bungalow, the slow train to Ella, the cool mornings, and the long walks, and only then come down to the coast for the leopards and the whales and the ramparts at sunset, with the last few days given over to doing very little at all on a beach that is, by your clever planning, exactly in season. Interior, then hills, then sea. The island unfolds in that order the way a good meal arrives in courses. This is precisely the kind of journey we love to shape at JMJ Experiences, the unhurried crossing of a place that rewards patience, the right estate bungalow, the dawn that is worth the early start, a driver who knows which bend the leopard favors. If you would like the longer written version of all this, with the practical detail on monsoons and timing, we have put a companion piece in our journal at jmjexperiences.com/journal. Next time on The Empty Afternoon, we leave the map for a while and turn inward. We want to talk about the new wellness travel, what it has become, what is worth your time, and what is merely spa with a candle, and how to come home from a journey genuinely rested rather than simply somewhere else for a fortnight. Until then, we hope your afternoons are slow, and at least one of them is empty. Travel well.